Here's another prison story. So for a while, I used to work in this unit where everyone was confined to wheelchairs. So you might be thinking, like, how can criminals do crimes from wheelchairs? Sadly, some of them would end up getting shot during the commission of their crime and end up in a wheelchair. And others were just in prison for so long that they became old and debilitated and needed a wheelchair to get around. There was this one inmate, and he would never want to drink water. He said that if he drank water, he would turn into a werewolf. But he did drink Kool-Aid, so I guess he just meant pure water. One day he starts a fight with this other inmate, and he took a plunger and broke it, and so one end was really jagged, and he was using it to try and stab at the other inmate. Eventually the COs put an end to it, but before they did, he ended up stabbing the other guy in the face with this jagged plunger, and the other guy had like a piece of wood like the size of a toothpick stuck through his lip. So the COs get them apart, and then it's my job as the nurse to assess them and see how badly hurt they are. The werewolf guy, it was kind of funny. When they were fighting, he fell out of his wheelchair, and then when the COs separated them, they just like picked him up by his diaper, by the back of his diaper, and put him back in his wheelchair. And there he sat until it was his turn to be assessed. I started with the other guy because he seemed to be the victim, and he had that thing coming out of his lip, and I couldn't see anything like immediately wrong with the werewolf guy. So I'm assessing this guy, and I take the toothpick out and I'm cleaning it up, and then also the werewolf guy had bit him, and so I had to assess that also, and that's a whole protocol because it's a blood exposure. Then it's about 15 minutes later, and I go to assess the second guy. The second guy comes in, and I'm looking at him, and I made him open his mouth, make sure there's no broken teeth or anything, and he's got blood in his mouth. So I thought there must be some kind of injury in his mouth. So I gave him a little thing to spit, and I said, here, spit out this blood, and then rinse your mouth with water, and I'm gonna look in there with a flashlight and figure out where the problem is, where this blood is coming from. So he did that. And then I'm looking all over his mouth, and there's no more blood coming out, and I can't see any wounds. And I'm questioning him about it, and he's like, no, I didn't bite myself or anything. And that blood was the blood from the other guy that he was swishing around in his mouth for 15 minutes. Like, ew. I never did figure out why they were fighting. But I like to imagine that the first guy was like stealing his Kool-Aid or something, and then he had to drink water, and then that's why he turned into a werewolf and bit the guy and like was sucking on his blood.
I loved that job.